So the next kind of loop that we are going to look at in Java is the for each loop. And this is one of my favorite looping constructs because I think it's a very elegant loop and it's very easy to do, and it makes a lot of tasks that would have been much harder, much easier to do. So in order to create this loop, I'm going to create an example here, and we are going to create a print statement that will allow us to print the different colors, red, green, and blue. And we could fill this with more than those colors, but let's just make an example where we have red, green, and blue, and we want to print those colors. So I'm going to create a method here, call it print colors, and it's not going to take any parameters. And the idea here is that we are going to create an array of colors as strings, and we want to print each one of these out. So I'm going to create a string array, and I'm going to use a special syntax here in order to create this string array. What I'm going to do is we are going to declare this string array, and we are going to call this colors. And then we are going to do new string, and then we are not going to specify the length of the string like we had done with an array. We could have put 10 for 10 strings and said we are going to let the compiler figure this out. Instead, we are going to use some brackets here, and then we are going to put our strings followed by commas, and the compiler will figure out how long to make the array. So I'm going to do red, blue, green, then a semicolon at the end here. So now we have an array of colors. Now a for each loop will let us basically iterate through this array, or really anything that is iterable in Java. And iterable is just a fancy way of saying that you can loop through. There is a lot of things that you can loop through in Java, anything that it would make sense to be able to loop through, like a list. So in this case, we are going to use an array, and when we get into collections later, you will see that we can loop through most collections. But we can use this for each loop in order to loop through this array. In the syntax for the for each, it looks just like a for. It's just the keyword for. It's called for each, but it's actually just for. And what you do is you declare the variable that's going to hold the temporary value of the element, the current element in the array. Because it's going to go through each one of these, so we will create a string and we will call this current color. And then you use a colon here. And when you use a colon, you can think in your head in, so we will say current color in colors. And this is going to loop through every color. And like I said, this is going to loop through every color stored in current color in this colors collection. So for each current color in colors, do this. And what we can do here is we can just do system out print line, and then we will print whatever the current color is. So thinking about how this is going to work, it's going to look at this colors array, it's going to loop through until it's hit every single one of these, and it's going to store it in the current color, each pass through. In the first pass through, it's going to have red stored in here, then it's going to print out red. On the second pass through, it's going to have blue stored in here, it's going to print out blue, and in the third pass through, it's going to have green, and it's going to print out green. So let's take a look at how this will work. So let's, instead of calling print, let's call print colors. And then let's run this and see what happens. You can see it's printed red, blue, and green. So it's really simple. This is a very elegant loop. I really like this loop because you don't have to, like we had to do in this for loop, we had to figure out where to start and where to end. Instead, the for each loop is able to do that for you. All you have to do is choose the variable that you are going to store the current item in, and then use this colon and then your list or whatever collection, whatever iterable thing that you have. In this case, we have this array of colors. The other nice thing about this is that we can easily expand this. If I added yellow, orange here, it's automatically going to work and we don't have to do anything else. I'll just run this. And as you can see now, it's added those colors. So for each loop is a really useful loop, and you just have to remember the syntax. It's the same as the for loop, except you are going to use this colon here and you are going to declare your variable to store for each item, and then you are going to give the actual array at the end here.